Hello everyone, I am Dr. Vo. Today we're going to talk about something that's pretty mind-boggling for a lot of people. As we become adults, travel through time and space, we just gradually get more and more wrinkles, but there's a child inside of us that refuses to grow up. Now, this is a child that can come out in playful time, can colors, can do artwork, can roll around on the floor with other children. But there are times that in clinical world, that child is wounded and he or she become very serious offenders in our own life, and he and she can destroy our life. So when we throw temper tantrum, displace responsibility of our lives onto others, say things that we regret, do things that are detrimental to our health, fail to cope with daily situation, endures terrible feelings that we had nothing to do with the present, we have unfinished inner child work. Okay. So how do you know if you have inner child issues? Okay, so a lot of time when you talking about people, you can say, well, I can't believe Bill act like a child, okay? Or I can't believe you just say that. That was just like an 8 years old, okay? So a person with inner child wounds can be highly functioning. They can hold social status. They can be in leadership position. They can have financial stability, yet they constantly feel the sense of emptiness and undeserving inside. The condition is called a dis-ease of the self due to a healthy self-identity failed to form during the critical years of life. With the lack of a solid core sense of self, the person must be dependent on something or someone outside of him or herself in order to have an identity. Okay, so that is not fun, right? So if you have to rely on external source of control to feel validated as a person inside. So some of the things that inner child manifested in life would be the tendency of feeling fear, shame, loss, hurt, feeling like he or she have to manipulate people to make things happen in life. And the inner child is running the course of the adult life in terms of, children know no consequences. So children gonna do things without any regards for what happened. So if there's an inner child that's running wild in your life, that child going to overeat, that child does not want to exercise, that child's going to want to not come into work in the morning, want to hang over, want to hang out at the bars to mid-morning, that kind of deal. Okay, so if that is the case that happened to you, okay, some of the things that we have to honestly look at is the root cause of it. In healthy children development, children should grow up in a very appropriate home environment and have both loving parents and maturated through all of the stages of life without any incidents. So up to the first 7 years of life, and even start from the time that we were inside of our mother womb, okay, the child is already receiving conditioning. Okay, so initially we start out in life as a brainstem, literally. So the brainstem regulated breathing, circadian rhythm, sleep and wake cycle, and then we were born into this world. Up to the first 7 years of life, neuropsychologists had discovered that the child pretty much operates in theta wave. So theta wave is pretty much a sleep cycle wave, where you sleep and you dream. So delta wave is when you sleep deeply and soundly, but theta wave is when you sleep with dreams. So you can imagine the first 7 years of our lives, we're basically sleepwalking. We're hypnotized by the condition in our environment. So because of that, we are on a recording machine. So we record everything from the way how our parents deal with the world's problem, how they treat each other, what's going on in our environment, in the schooling system. So we're basically just imprinting information for the first 7 years of life. The psychologist Piaget recognized that through his research that the first 7 years of life, children do not show logical thinking. So afterward, the neocortex start formalizing. So up to adolescent age, we're basically just we're just sensory receptors, receiving information in the world. Now, if we grew up in an appropriate home environment, receive validation from our caregivers, and had loving parents that telling us how special, how unique, how smart, how pretty, how handsome we are, consider we win the lottery. That's a sad fact because 1 out of 5 children don't have that. Virginia Satir, the family psychologist well known in America, stated that up to 95% of families in America are dysfunctional. So can you imagine the first 18, 20 years of your life? That's what you receive. 75% of things that you receive from the environment are negative. Let's turn on the news and you see all of the negative in the world. And when your parents come home from work, what do they talk about? Stress level, about their boss, about not having money to pay bills. And when you ask for a new pair of shoes, they look at you and they say, what do you think I am? Bill Gates? Or what do you think money grow on trees? So because of that, we constantly receiving the downloading from the environment, and they're basically negative downloading, okay? So what happened to a child when that beautiful process of bonding and development with their parents were interrupted by catastrophe? Now, catastrophe in childhood, trauma in childhood is entirely individualized. Okay, the highest scale of trauma is called always incest, the most violated and betrayal things that can happen to the child. Okay, when a parent's betrayal a child trust and violated the child body and integrity. Then we have domestic violence, physical abuse, we have verbal abuse, we have name callings, we have putting down. I remember when I was first fresh out of school, one of the first cases that I received was a 14-year-old female that she came from a very controlling, very restrictive environment, and she highly resent her mom. And basically, she was made to do all housework at home, and she was made to comb her mother's beautiful long hair every day after school. Okay, so you would say, okay, and what's wrong with that story? Okay, that sounds like she was well protective and she had a loving mom. Well, that's what I thought until the next day when her name was on the news, blasted everywhere on national television. She had shot her mother. Okay, so the thing about it is that we cannot place a value judgment on other people's experience and trauma. Another client of mine, she recounted a story when she was 5 years old. She had a baby doll. Okay, and so with the baby doll, she was in her room. She was undressing her shirt and she was breastfeeding the baby doll as an innocent 5 years old. Okay, so let's say if you are parents, you saw that, what would you say? Nothing. You would say, oh, you're trying to feed the baby. Oh, that's so sweet, right? But her father came into the room and saw that and smashed her upside the head without any explanation, yanked the doll away from her, throw it out, okay? All right, so she didn't remember that incident very particularly, but then she grew up and then she got involved with a lot of married older men. So it's almost like her condition for men. Are you married? Are you older? Okay, then that's the one she's going to pick and date. So that's how she came to counseling. All right, so in the inner child work, what we go back and recognize that somehow her father has implicitly taught her the message that the behavior was sexual, it was dirty, it was something that forbiddable. So she internalized that and she associated that with, in order to please my father, I have to reenact the scenario. I have to be with older male. Okay? So we know that inner child work affects adults at a very intricate level. And when people come in and they have rage, they have relationship problem, they have emotional addiction, they are addicted to trauma, they are addicted to pain, and the way they react to disappointment in the world is like a 5 or 6 years old child can react. What we know is that person had developmental arrested, which is mean whatever age that you were traumatized, you are locked in at that age. So you can be a fully grown, a fully functioning adult, but inside your emotional system is still running like a 5 years old. You still throw temper tantrum. You still try to kill people on the freeway because you were mad, you were angry, you think that you were violated in some way. Okay. So in the healing process, when people come into therapy, we help them to do what is called emotional processing, because what happens when you become developmental arrested, which is mean you stop growing at that point emotionally. So you can be a super achiever, you can be boss of your own company, but you have meltdown like a kid. So we help clients to do the emotional processing, allowing for them to become unstuck in that periods of time. And we help them to do what is called a corrective emotional experience. What that meant is that when the child get hurt, the child internalize everything as a child fall. That 5 years old that were trying to breastfeed her baby, she didn't know. She thought she did something really bad. That's why her father disapproved of her behavior. So we help her to correctly identify, no, she didn't do anything wrong. Her father reacted out of his own downloading, whatever program that was running in his mind. He was doing that and condemning her for something that she was innocently doing as a child. Okay, so in order to live correctly with the emotion of the child, we help the child move forward as to become an adult. Okay, so when you process the emotion, when you correctly identify the emotion, when you place the responsibility on the perpetrator, not onto yourself, then you can start doing the work, which is called the disidentifying with the pain. Okay? What I would tell people is that pain is very much like a rock that you encounter on your travel. Okay, and when you fail, you bruise, you pop, you get hurt because of the rock. You don't need to take it with you for the rest of the journey. You can leave it behind. Now, what my client would say that, well, it's easy say than do. Some of them say, I had this pain for 20 years. I cannot let it go, just like that. Well, let me tell you, what if you go to a doctor office and the doctor say you have a tumor, you need to be immediately do surgery and remove it right now? Would you say that, no, I actually very attached to my tumor. I've been carrying it for 20 years. I don't want to let it go, right? Okay, so emotional trauma is like a tumor. Okay, so we have to process the issue. We have to correctly identify who is at fault, and then we have to do what is called the removal procedures. Okay, so I would encourage people to externalize their pain or placing their pain in an object. So people say, how do you do that? Okay, so let's say you have a pillow that you call pain, okay? And then you would view your pain as that pillow. Maybe you want to talk to your pillow. Maybe you want to write a letter to your pain. But those are the kind of things, when you are able to see it, then it is not a part of you. Like if I see the pillow in the room, then the pillow is outside of me. It's not inside of me. I also ask people to do something like you can find something symbolic, like a rock, okay, and you can externalize your pain onto the rock, okay. So when you hold the rock, you can say that this was the pain that I experienced growing up. It is no longer a part of me. This is something that I can place it down, okay. I can talk to the pain. I can process the pain. I can go on with my life, with the pain right here, okay, as a reminder of my past, but it is no longer a part of me. So you want to honor your past. You want to honor your pain because it is there to embolden you, even you didn't ask for it. I always tell people that we as spiritual beings, we came down on earth as a boot camp. Okay, so we're here to train. And part of our training process, we go through a lot of bruises, a lot of hurt, a lot of soul evolution, but we signed up for this equation and we here to make sure that we come out alive on the other side, okay? So at the end of the journey, we have to benefit from everything that happened to us, no matter what. Okay, so processing the pain means you have to acknowledge, you have to honor it. You do not diminish, you do not pretend that it's not there. So in order to do that, I encourage people to journal, to draw a picture, to sit with your pain, to meditate with your pain, to deep breathe with your pain, to walk with your pain. Okay. In the process of processing the pain, okay, and a lot of people say, well, isn't that mean reliving the experience and I'm going to be re-traumatizing again? Okay, so there is a difference of reliving the experience, like people with post-traumatic stress, when they have intrusive thought process, they have unwanted images and flashback. Okay, so processing the emotion means you process that as an adult. You see in the child being wounded, being struggled, being victimized. But as an adult, you let the child know that the child is well protected. You are going to be present for your inner child. There are 4 P's that you need to have with your inner child. The first one is to be present for your inner child, to do not discount the inner child when the child needs to come out and play. The second one is that you have to be powerful. You cannot be helping your inner child if you are a disempowered adult. So you have to be powerful and present in your inner child's life. Okay. The third thing is that you have to be persistent with your inner child, very much like you would parent a 5 years old or an 8 years old, whatever age that you were stuck with. If your inner child want to stay out all night and drink and be with friends, you would be the adult to step in and say, no, we have to go to work in the morning. We cannot play. Okay? So be firm, be persistent, be present with your inner child, be powerful. The other thing you have to be is that be playful with your inner child. Okay? So coming from a country with a 50 years war, so just like people who coming out of a 50 years war, like I am, came from Vietnam and survived the Vietnam War, escaped over here by boat, okay? A lot of our childhood has been restricted because there are bomb drops in our backyard. The enemies that come in the middle of the night and yank out your relatives. So you are not being, it's not safe. Our country is not a safe playground for children, and we were not allowed to play. So because of that, when we grow up, we can become very rigid adults, okay? If that happened to you, if for some reason you were not allowed to play, or you only play in artificial environment, look at the children that we raise up now. We're being raised up by electrical device. These children don't have the opportunity to be with nature, to roll around in the grass, to run and chase butterfly and insects. Okay, so there are going to be psychological detrimental that happen in the next generation to come, as we already been receiving it in counseling with children who are not able to play. So coming out and play with your child is very important. I would ask you to go ahead and, if you don't have children in your life, you can become a mentor to other children. You can become big brother and big sister and adopt a child, okay? So in terms of not creating or not re-traumatizing yourself, you can be tearful, you can have an emotional meltdown, you can have a grieving process, but it's different than being re-traumatized because you are no longer that 5 years old, helpless and doesn't have the vocabulary to tell people no. You are a powerful man, powerful woman, so you can go back to the past and you can pick that child up, you can love, you can hold that child, and that child would never need to be fearful again, okay? So in the process of this identifying with your pain, you would create an inner space between yourself and your pain, and you view your pain as something external of you. Just like I said before, transforming it into an object, a stuffed animal, a painting, a rock. You would be visualizing what your life would be like without the pain, and then go ahead and live it. Okay, reminding yourself that if someone had caused you pain in life, it's a gift that they give you. And if you don't want that gift, the gift will return back to the sender. Okay, so the final process of inner child work is transforming the pain into meaning and triumphant for your life. Okay. Healing can only take place in a forgiving soul. Okay, healing has to do a lot of neurochemistry inside of your brain. Okay, when you heal, when you love, okay, your brain secreted endorphin, serotonin, oxytocin, all of the feel-good hormone. Okay, so if there's room for hate, which is mean cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, then you're not going to be healing well. So it's really important you heal for yourself. Okay, when you forgive the perpetrator, you really are doing yourself a favor first and foremost. Okay, and then during that healing process, you recognize that there is a reason for this pain. And no matter how hard it is, okay, maybe you couldn't find a reason for senseless violence, senseless abuse onto children. But you can heal other people by teaching, by increasing awareness, by giving a gift of yourself, giving a gift of your own experience, and letting people know your Anne Frank story, letting people know the pain and the suffering, and continue to help evolution by stopping other children from experience what you have experienced in life. Okay? So in terms of the journey from victim to victor, okay, what I would tell people, okay, we here on a soul evolution. The perpetrator is also here on his or her soul evolution. And if the perpetrator is happen to be a loved one, we have to understand their karmic bonding and transaction we have with them. So in our culture, we believe in infinite lives. We believe in infinite beings. The Buddhists say that there is nobody that you have met in your life that has not been a brother, a sister, a parent, a child, a lover in many, many lives. So if we want to write them off as somebody that we have met in the past life, maybe we have hurt them, okay, maybe something that went really wrong with their soul evolution that turned them into evil and turned them into hurting people, okay, our goal is to want them to stop. Okay, our goal is to want to help other people progress in their soul evolution and allow for karma, allow for the higher being to take care of their own evolution. We don't have to be the one that condemn them. We don't have to be the one that inflict pain back onto them. We take care of ourselves. We transform our pain into meaningful activities, meaningful outcomes for our own life. We refuse to walk on the victim pathway, okay? Because we were victimized one time, but we were not victimized for the rest of our life. So it's really important that we make the transition from victor to victorious pathway, okay? You are not doing the world a favor by staying a victim, okay? Evolution only happens when victims transform into victors. History is made by victors, okay? So please take care of yourself, love to your inner child, love to all of the people around you in your life. I'll see you next time.
Please subscribe to this channel and ring the bell at the bottom corner to be notified when a new video is uploaded. You can also reach out to Dr. Vo directly through her website. The link is in the description below.